Two children vanish without a trace. Their mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, insists they're safe, but the lies unravel quickly. Months later, in a shallow grave behind her husband's home, the remains of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow are discovered, burned, dismembered, and wrapped in duct tape. The world is left asking, what kind of mother does this? Was Lori a devoted parent consumed by apocalyptic beliefs, or was she a manipulative killer who justified the unthinkable in the name of God? Together with her husband, Chad Daybell, a self-proclaimed prophet, Lori created a reality where the end of the world was near, and her children became the ultimate sacrifice. How does a loving mother become the villain in her own children's lives? And is Lori Vallow Daybell a psychopath, or a victim of her own delusions? Lori Vallow Daybell's life seemed picture-perfect. Born in 1973 into a devout Mormon family in San Bernardino, California, she was raised to value faith, family, and obedience. By all accounts, she embraced those values, marrying 5 times and raising children in what appeared to be a life built on love and stability. But beneath that facade was a trail of turmoil, 5 marriages marked by conflict, manipulation, and death. Then, in September 2019, Lori's world came crashing down. Her 2 youngest children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, disappeared. Lori claimed they were safe, but the truth was far more horrifying. Months later, their remains were unearthed in her husband Chad Daybell's backyard, shallow graves holding the devastating end of their short lives. What happened to this family? How did Lori transform from a mother devoted to her children into the central figure in a case so chilling it defies belief? And how did her faith lead her into the clutches of Chad Daybell, a man who claimed he was a prophet preparing for the end of the world? If this story shocks or intrigues you, hit that subscribe button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and stay with us as we uncover the chilling details of Lori Vallow Daybell's journey from mother to cult leader. Lori's path to adulthood was anything but smooth. By her early 20s, she had already experienced her first divorce. Over the years, she would marry and divorce 4 more times, each relationship marked by conflict, instability, and eventually tragedy. From these unions came her children, including Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, who would later become the center of a national tragedy. By 2006, Lori seemed to have found stability when she married Charles Vallow, a loving husband who adopted JJ, his nephew, to complete their family. Together, they raised Tylee and JJ in what appeared to be a happy and stable home. But behind closed doors, cracks began to form. By 2019, Charles began to fear for his safety. He reported Lori's increasingly extreme behavior to the police, claiming she believed she was chosen by God to prepare for the apocalypse. Charles warned authorities that Lori was dangerous, that she had threatened to kill him if he got in the way of her mission. Lori's life took a dramatic and tragic turn in 2018 when she met Chad Daybell, a self-proclaimed prophet and author of apocalyptic novels. Chad's teachings of impending doom and divine missions captivated Lori, fueling her transformation from a devoted mother to a believer in radical and dangerous ideas. But Lori's relationship with Chad Daybell wasn't just a spiritual connection, it was a deadly partnership. Together, they created a belief system that would lead to unimaginable tragedy, one that would claim the lives of Lori's own children. By September 2019, Lori Vallow Daybell's children, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old JJ Vallow, had disappeared without a trace. Tylee was last seen during a family trip to Yellowstone National Park on September 8. JJ vanished just weeks later. When questioned by friends and family, Lori gave conflicting explanations. She claimed Tylee was away at college, despite her young age, and insisted JJ was staying with relatives in Arizona. But those relatives had no idea where he was. JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, were relentless in their search for the children, contacting authorities and pleading for help. But their warnings about Lori's erratic behavior were largely ignored. Law enforcement, child protective services, and even Lori's own circles seemed to look the other way. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, Lori's lies became more elaborate. But what she did next would shock the world. Just 2 months before Tylee and JJ disappeared, another tragedy rocked Lori's family. On July 11, 2019, Lori's fourth husband, Charles Vallow, was shot and killed by her brother, Alex Cox, in what Alex claimed was self-defense. Charles had arrived at Lori's house to pick up JJ. According to Alex, an argument ensued, and he shot Charles to protect Lori. But police noticed something strange: Lori's reaction. She appeared calm, emotionless, even laughing with investigators as they processed the scene. Charles had repeatedly warned authorities about Lori's escalating behavior. He even filed for divorce, citing Lori's threats and obsession with doomsday beliefs. Yet, his pleas were ignored. Was Charles's death a random act of violence, or was it a calculated move to remove an obstacle from Lori's life and clear the way for her plans with Chad Daybell? After months of searching, the investigation took a devastating turn in June 2020. Acting on a tip, police executed a search warrant at Chad Daybell's rural Idaho property. What they found was beyond horrifying. Buried in shallow graves were the remains of Tylee and JJ. Tylee's body had been burned and dismembered, leaving only fragments behind. JJ was found wrapped in plastic, his small frame bound with duct tape. The gruesome discovery shocked the nation. The evidence was clear: the children had been deliberately and brutally killed. But how could a mother justify such horrific acts? Lori and Chad's beliefs about light and dark spirits provided a chilling answer. They had labeled the children as zombies, claiming their deaths were necessary to fulfill a divine mission. But what drove Lori Vallow Daybell to commit such unspeakable acts? Was it her distorted faith, her relationship with Chad, or something even darker? The search for justice began in 2023, as Lori Vallow Daybell stood trial for the murders of her children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, and the conspiracy to murder Tammy Daybell, Chad's first wife. Prosecutors described Lori as a manipulative and dangerous individual who used religion as a shield to justify her crimes. Over weeks of testimony, the jury heard chilling details of Lori's actions. They learned how she groomed her brother, Alex Cox, to carry out her plans, how she abandoned her children's belongings, and how she continued to deceive those around her even as suspicions grew. The verdict was unanimous: Lori was convicted of murder, conspiracy, and grand theft. In July 2023, Lori was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. The judge condemned her lack of remorse and her betrayal of the trust placed in her as a mother. But the story didn't end there. In June 2024, Chad Daybell faced his own trial. Prosecutors presented him as a manipulative figure whose teachings not only fueled Lori's dissent but directly contributed to the murders. Chad was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy and sentenced to death. His twisted belief system was laid bare for the world to see. 2 lives lost, 2 convicted killers, and countless lives left shattered. But questions remained: was Lori truly under Chad's influence, or was she an equal partner in their deadly pact? Psychologists who evaluated Lori described her as narcissistic, delusional, and deeply manipulative. Her fixation on being a chosen one in Chad's apocalyptic narrative fueled her actions, but some experts argue that she wasn't merely a follower, she was a leader in her own right. While Chad's influence on Lori cannot be ignored, many believe Lori weaponized her beliefs to achieve her own goals. Her ability to manipulate those around her, including her brother Alex and even Chad himself, paints a picture of a woman who knew exactly what she was doing. Was Lori Vallow Daybell a victim of Chad Daybell's dangerous ideology, or was she the architect of her own crimes? The truth may never be fully known, but the legacy of her actions will continue to haunt those who knew Tylee and JJ, and those who followed the case. Even with Lori Vallow Daybell's conviction and Chad Daybell's death sentence, the case is far from over. In Arizona, Lori is facing additional charges for conspiring to murder her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, and her niece's ex-husband. Her trial is scheduled for April 2024, where she will face accusations of manipulation and deceit that extend beyond the tragedy in Idaho. Public reactions to the verdicts have been polarized. While many feel justice was served with Lori's life sentences and Chad's death penalty, others argue that the case raises deeper questions about mental health, religious extremism, and accountability. Was Lori truly delusional, or did she use her beliefs as a shield for calculated murder? As we close this chapter, one question lingers: will we ever know the full truth about Lori and Chad's twisted partnership? What secrets remain buried, and how do we make sense of a case that defies logic and humanity? What do you think? Was Lori Vallow Daybell manipulated by Chad Daybell, or was she in control of everything from the start? Could the deaths of Tylee and JJ have been prevented if authorities had acted on the warnings sooner? And what motivated Lori most? Was it power, money, or the dangerous delusions she embraced so fully? If this story left you with questions, hit subscribe, like this video, and share your theories in the comments. What case should we cover next? Let us know below.